Hi, this is Theo from PuckleBlocks.com. A few days ago, a viewer sent me this picture and asked me how I would draw something like this, something this complicated. So for today's video, I'm going to show you how I approach this subject. First of all, I have to say that this is a rather complicated subject that can be quite daunting for beginners. There are quite a lot of curves here. This is a curve as well, this too. And this is actually a semicircle, just that half of the semicircle is behind that we cannot see because it's blocked by this wall. And this is a big piece of wall that is in perspective. You can see that the perspective is quite sharp, this angle and this angle. And we have a staircase that goes down, and this is a circular staircase as well. So quite challenging, a lot of lines, a lot of curves, and the whole thing is in perspective. So how will I approach drawing this? Well, if you understand the basics of drawing from observation, it can be quite, this is challenging definitely, but you do not need to know perspective in order to draw this. You just have to apply the basics of observational drawing, and that is something that I've taught in one of my lessons in my online course. So today I'm just going to apply the concept from my online course, which is basically to draw from observation, draw by using proportion. The first thing I want to draw is the wall, because I think that is the most simple thing to draw, and also it is actually quite big here. So I'm just going to use maybe perhaps half of this paper here. And I'm going to start by drawing the vertical line, this line here, and then this line. Something like this. I have to make sure that this angle is correct, so I will measure it by stretching my arm out straight like this and try to measure this angle. This is like 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, something like that. So I have to make sure that the angle is correct and draw it in like this. The length of this line and this line, they feel roughly the same to me. So I think this is about right. Then I will move down like this, all the way down. The bottom of this wall here, this edge here, is much lower than this side here. So I have to make sure that it goes all the way down like this. And measure the angle again. This is more gentle compared to this, so I think it's about right. Something like this. And when you're drawing the surface of this wall, try to get a feel of what it's like for this wall to appear in perspective. So as I'm drawing this, I feel that this wall is sort of in perspective. Then I can draw the thickness of the wall, make sure that this line, this angle here, is the same angle as what you see, so it tilts down to the right side a bit, and this is quite a thick wall, so I draw something like this here, and then move down again straight, and this line here, it tilts up, so it tilts up like this. Alright, so I have something like this. Let me see if I have enough space for the left side. So how do I check if I have enough space, I've left enough space to draw in all this? It's very simple. I just take this wall here, just measure the width of this wall and compare it to this width. So this is one wall length, so let me compare it here. So yeah, I probably have enough space because this is one wall, two walls, and a bit of space here. Now the next thing I want to draw is this spiral staircase that goes down. I want to start with this edge here. This edge here, the top starts at this point here. It's if you align it to this vertical wall here, it starts somewhere around here. So let me draw it, and it ends here. You see this bottom part here? It actually ends at the bottom of the big wall here. So that is very important to get in. So I shall just draw it like this. Yep, so that's the height of this. Let me give it a bit of a thickness. And for this side here, this is actually curving from right to left and then back to the right here. And this distance here is about maybe 3/4, 2/3 of this wall. So if I compare what I have here, 2/3 of this wall will be something like this. So it will be something like this. And let me start a bit higher to get this. So it goes from the right to the left and then to the right. Okay. I think it's very important to show some resemblance of the curve. Mine is not that obvious, so I may want to draw in an additional line. Okay, next I want to draw this vertical shape. There is actually a vertical line that comes down from this side here, the inner side of this wall. So I draw a bit of that. And now I'm drawing this thing here. It goes all the way down, something like this. And I want to draw this angle here, which is something like this. If you want it to be accurate, then probably it's better to draw it slower and concentrate on looking at the subject. For me, for this tutorial, I'm drawing a bit fast because I do not want this video to be too long. So I'm just showing you my approach at how I draw things. So usually when I draw, I will take a reference from somewhere else on the subject and then use that reference to draw other things. Alright, so now let's draw this side here, this wall here. Same thing, I think this is probably a straight line. From what I can see, it is a straight line. And it looks like it's horizontal, but actually it's not. It's actually tilted slightly in this angle. So that is very important, because every little angle, it affects your drawing. So I don't want to draw a totally horizontal line. I want to make sure that there is some angle to that. And when it reaches this corner here, there is a vertical line, and then it starts to curve here from right to left and then to right. And the place where it reaches the outer edge, this place here, actually coincides with this place here. So when I move this curve, I want to make sure that the place where it starts to turn, this place where it turns, it coincides with this on the same vertical level, and then it will curve to this point here. And this edge here aligns with, let's see, I think it's slightly higher than this point here. So I shall draw it to this point here and then make a curve. Something like this. So this is supposed to be a curve. When you're drawing, try and make sure that it's some sort of a curve. It's very challenging, definitely, because the curve is very, very slight. So you have to pay very close attention to the curve. Okay, so now I have drawn this. I want to draw this black area here. This is something like this. Okay, and now let's draw the spiral or the spiral things that are going on. I want to extend this wall here first. Extend it all the way down to this point and down to this point. And here you can see that this wall intersects this wall at this point. So this is going to be something like this, and it It's going to cut like this. Okay, right now I see something that is quite off, something that's off, because when I look at this photo, this space here is actually about half of this wall, but in my drawing I can see that this space here is actually about 1/3, so this needs to be wider. And the reason for this discrepancy is because just now as while I was drawing this wall, I should have made it much longer, but I did not. That is why I get this problem right now. So again, if you want accuracy, just go a bit slower and draw a bit slower, and always be measuring. Always be measuring. If you want accuracy, you should always be measuring. Okay, let's I extended this. Let's draw this semicircle first. The outer edge of this circle is here. It's actually here, this point here. And this point here coincides to the middle point here. So the middle point here is actually here. And the outer edge is here, which is actually towards the right side of this wall. So it's somewhere around here. And again, this is a rather challenging curve, so you might want to go a bit slower. When drawing this curve, I have to make sure that this side here, especially this side, it doesn't go all the way up like this. Because, I mean, it goes up very slightly, but it doesn't go all the way up like this. So perhaps I want to start from this instead. And you might find it helpful to actually do some practice the curve first without drawing on the paper, just to get a feel of how the curve is going to look like before you draw it. So I'm just getting a feel of the curve like this, and when you're ready to draw it fast so that it can curve nicely and smoothly. Okay, something's wrong. I think it's this side here. The angle is a bit wrong. I made it protrude out a bit too much. And this thing here, I'm just going to draw a semicircle like that, just to represent that. And all right, let's take a general look at what we have here right now. The next thing I'm going to draw is probably this curve, and this curve, and this curve. So this point here is halfway between this line and this line. So it starts halfway here, and the outer edge of this semicircle is actually here, this point here. And this point here coincides with, let's see, probably this point here. So this point here goes down to this point, which is somewhere around here. So this is the outer edge of this circle. Again, same thing. I'm going to practice the curve. Something like this. Something like this. All right. And now for this line, this curve here. I think I probably should use a pencil. So we have, oh, let me draw in this thing here first. This is quite easy to draw, this shape here. Okay, something like this. There is a square box here. All right. Now I will use my red pencil for drafting purposes. I'm going to draw this. The top of this point here is around, I would say, the bottom of this. So I think the top is at the bottom, so it would be something like this. Something like that. And for this curve, it starts here, curves a bit upwards, or from this upper point it curves a bit down. That's the wrong angle. I need to change my hand position. Alright, something like this. And for all these lines that are radiating out from this central area, you can actually measure the angles. For example, let's say I want to draw this thing first. Sometimes I would just draw with pencil one line to represent each of this. But from what I can see here, there are actually two lines, one here, because this piece here has a thickness to it. But when I'm drawing, I'm just going to draw one line, which is going to represent the middle of these two lines here, like this. And let me get angle. It's something like this. So I'm just going to draw that one line first, something like this. And next I'm going to draw this line, which is almost 45 degrees, like this. And then again, for every line I'll just draw like this. And this line is interesting because this line is very close to being horizontal, but it is not. It tilts at an angle like that. So it's probably something like this. And then we have the other line here, and finally the last line here. And notice where this line, where do they go? They go all the way down to meet the wall and then curves down into this wall. And however, it's for this particular wall, the line doesn't go all the way back to this point here, so take note of that. So let me do that. Goes all the way to this point and then curves down to become the vertical wall. So you see here, when I move my line here from here down to curve down to become the vertical wall, it intersects this part here at this point. And if we move from this line here down to this point, it intersects here. So this is quite close, but it's not accurate, but it's quite close. If you want accuracy, you have to draw very carefully. And if you make a mistake right at the beginning, that mistake is going to sort of come back to haunt you later on, because if you make that mistake later on, earlier on, if you don't correct it there and then it's going to affect all the other parts of the drawing. And that is why I have this part here, which is so thin. Okay, so next line I want to draw this line. This line goes all the way from this point to this point, and the picture is cropped out from here, so it doesn't matter. So it's something like this. And I want to draw this wall here. This bottom part of wall starts from here and it goes up. It actually intersects at this point here. This is halfway between this point and this point. And I can draw it like this, curve, and go down. Alright. And I think I shall leave all the other parts. And I want to draw this this opening here. This opening is something like, let me see. Oh, there is actually another wall here. So let me draw that wall in first. Curves down like this. Alright, now that I have my guiding lines, I will just go in to draw the lines with the pen. I'm drawing this part here right now. This part. Like this. Move to the left and go down. This is the wall. It goes all the way up like this. Like this. So after you have the drafting lines, it's really very easy to just draw the structure. And I see some trees, foliages, so I'm just going to do some foliages here just to give it some texture. Okay, and continue on. I think my drafting line for this particular line is a bit off, so I wanted to redraw it again to something like this. Make sure that this is a straight line, and make sure that there is thickness to it. Remember, just now I said that this line represents the middle of the two, so let me just draw it like this. So every red line I need to draw 2 black lines. There is actually vertical lines here, 1, 2, 3, so that will be here, 1, 2, and 3. Alright, I think that is all. Okay, so now perhaps to give it extra, oh, I forgot to draw this area here, so I need to draw that in. And this is the curve at the top, and this is the shape of the window. It looks like some sort of opening. And lastly, to give it some light and shadow, I will just use this black pencil, this chalk pencil, to color the dark areas. And that's it for this sketch. Let me show you another sketch of the same subject. So this was drawn much earlier with pencil, and this was drawn with pen and ink, as you have seen. I want to talk about this area again. For this particular sketch, I got the proportion for this area wrong. So this area here, it looks like it's 1/3 of the wall. The width is like 1/3 of this big wall here. But for this sketch, the width of this area is like half of the wall, and this is more accurate in terms of proportion. The reason I got this proportion wrong is because earlier on I drew this line here too short, so here it's much longer. So everything that you draw earlier is going to affect your drawing later on. So when you're drawing complicated subjects, I would recommend, if you have time, to actually use pencil, because that is really very helpful before you go in with pen and ink. For this sort of subject, if I'm going to draw it on location, I might draw it straight with pen and ink, but I will be very careful. I will concentrate a lot on observing the subject and draw quite slowly, and really focus on looking at the subject, measuring every proportion, every line, every angle to make sure that they are accurate. That is all for today's drawing demonstration. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comment section below. If you are a beginner looking to learn how to draw, I have a drawing course called Drawing from Observation for Beginners. You can check that out. The link is in the video description. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye.